Hello and welcome to Travel Radio Podcast. This is the last official in this all-inclusive winners series of podcasts that we're doing live, and we'll add on to it more later, but that's all I have time for at the moment. And so if you are listening, there is a playlist available to you from travelradiopodcast.com. You'll see it at you just click on the link in bio, you'll find it. You'll also find a link to the playlist of YouTube videos that are the replays of the lives that we're doing. And so without further ado, I'd like to welcome my guest for the evening for the very last one, but a very exciting one. Welcome, Lori Gold, to Travel Radio Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, would you take a minute to introduce yourself?
Sure. I am from Toronto, Canada, and I've been actually living in the Riviera Maya for 5 years yesterday. It was my Mexiversary, whatever you want to call it. So that was yesterday. Yep, it's been 5 years in a few years in Playa del Carmen, and now I'm living in Puerto Aventuras, which is close to Tulum, in between Playa and Tulum.
That's really exciting. So,
yeah.
Sorry, I have sound effects too on my little wizard box. So I gave you an applause. That's very exciting. Okay, this is not in the topic, but why did you end up moving down there? And you moved there pre-COVID, so.
Yeah. Although a lot of other travel advisors have moved here during this time, it just seems like a good place to be, and especially from Canada because things are pretty locked down there.
But I moved here because
I'm pretty cold, exactly. I was always, coming here for work, as a lot of travel agents do. It's a popular spot because there's so many resorts and different things to do, and it just felt homey. And like many other people, I'm sure I was always sad to leave, and so I just decided to move. I mean, it was really on a whim, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't know Spanish. I just did it. And here we are, 5 years later.
How are you doing with that Spanish?
Not so great. I do understand a lot, but the speaking is it's a little challenging.
So if you ever have interest, I was talking to Corinne Johnson. She has the Tin Lounge podcast on the network also, but she's moved to Mexico recently, and the town that she's in is actually a town where people go for like summer holidays in order to learn Spanish. So there's someplace, there's a couple of cities, towns like that, and she's in one of them. And I was looking up the options, and it looks incredible. So in case you want a change of scene, it is inland. So you're going to be landlocked.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, the problem with living in this area is it's so touristy that most people do speak English, so it's not hard to get around if you don't speak Spanish.
Well, if you want the option, I'll connect you because it does sound amazing.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, well then tell us where we're going today.
We are going 35 minutes north of Cancun to the gated community of Playa Mujeres.
Okay, wonderful.
And the hotel is Atelier Playa Mujeres, which is my favorite hotel there.
Awesome. And then, I usually ask at the end, but I'll ask you now, if travel agents have questions, can they contact you to ask questions about the resort? And then also, are you taking new clients?
Yeah, so for travel agents, for sure, I have a Facebook group called the Resorts of the Riviera Maya. So that would be the best place to come for travel agents. And then for new clients, 100%. Yeah, my website is a good place to start. Or Instagram, it's Explore with Lore.
Okay, so because you are a Canadian resident, are you able to take U.S. travelers or just Canadian travelers? Oh, okay, great.
No, anybody. Yep.
Cool. Okay, well then let's take a quick look at your beautiful website. There we are. And then what's an email address people can get you at?
It's Lori at exploremoretravelco.com.
And I realize you just told me that, so let's ignore my dumminess. Okay.
No.
All right, let's check out a couple pictures from the resort. And I am just blown away that these are actually from your cell phone. They look like the resort paid someone to take these pictures. They're incredible.
I wish, but it's just so beautiful. It's hard to take a bad photo there, I think.
All right, well, tell us what we're looking at. Where are you standing?
That is from my room, and that's just the main pool. I mean, it really only has one pool, but it's sort of different sections, so it goes even further down, and then up there towards the beach, it goes in either direction as well. So it's a pretty big pool with different areas. Yeah,
it's a big pool. All right, let's check out another picture.
And then, beside it was the golf course as well. They have a golf course right there, so it's convenient for golfers. Yeah, right on the right of that pool.
Yeah, you can see it. Nice. It's a nice green too. All right, we
Yeah.
have another picture.
Yeah, it's just another picture of the main pool.
All right, and then it looks like we're at the left of the property.
Exactly. And that is the view from the master suite. So with a private plunge pool there, overlooking the ocean in a
Oh my
pool. So
gosh. Is
pretty
that a
nice.
lazy
Yeah.
river or is that just a swim out access?
No, that's just your own little private plunge pool on the roof.
Oh my. That's awesome.
No big deal.
MBD. Okay, so then, we can see the beach from here. And while we're looking at it, let's just address the beach right away. Is
Mhm.
this a swimmable beach? Is this a coral beach? What can you do on this beach?
Yeah, well, Playa Mujeres has some of the best beaches. I mean, you can see it's white sand and it's beautiful blue and turquoise water, and definitely swimmable with a sandy bottom. So there's no coral like to go snorkeling right there. But right across from this beach is the island of Isla Mujeres. So you can go snorkeling, get boats from Playa Mujeres and go to Isla Mujeres to do some snorkeling there or on the way. So it's a perfect, in my opinion, it's a perfect beach.
I'm going to say it looks pretty perfect.
Mhm.
Okay, so then let's talk about when you were last on the property.
So I've only been there twice, and actually it was July of last year and August of last year. And in
Okay.
August, I went there because I got married there.
Oh, congrats. That's
Yeah,
exciting.
thank you. Yeah.
That's really exciting. So then, I know we have some new COVID protocols in place probably since then, but there were some in place when you were there. So what was that like as far as
Yeah.
getting onto the property goes?
I mean, from my experience of going to a ton of different properties since last June, it's all pretty much the same. And they did, the normal things like the sanitizing the luggage and the temperature and the health form and things like that. So nothing crazy over the top, but the standard protocols that all the hotels have.
Is there any, time limit or gap between stays?
What do you mean?
Like when someone checks out, is there a gap between one person checks out and the
Oh,
next one checks in?
that I'm not sure about. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Yeah, and a lot of them change the policies anyway, so might not be the
Yeah.
same anyway. Yeah, check with the travel professional people, or just contact
Yes.
Lori. Okay, and then what about was your room sealed coming into it, or you could just like it
You know
had
what?
that nice clean
I can't
smell?
remember probably exactly. Yeah. And you could tell, I mean, they were just really on top of that for sure.
Okay,
The
great.
cleaning.
Well then, let's get into some basics but importance of the property. Let's talk about you know when I asked for this resort, I said everybody could only pick one property. This is the one you wanted.
Yeah.
And, more in depth than it's a stellar resort because it sure looks like it. Like, why is this a property that you wanted to showcase? Being that you have access to so many properties, this is the one.
Well, I think it's the perfect property in my opinion. First of all, the price point is great for what it is. Like it's really phenomenal value. And as you saw, the beach is beautiful, the pool is beautiful, the food is great. And one thing that they have versus some other resorts is they have a vegetarian menu at every restaurant, and I'm a
Oh,
vegetarian, so that's
okay.
kind of cool and important to me. And the food is, I mean, even if it's vegetarian, it's just as good, if like in line with anything else. It's not just like, pasta and pizza. They have really unique different options. And the rooms, I mean, they're luxurious. The lobby, like it just oozes luxury and for a great price point, so it kind of has everything.
Okay, cool. So then, let me ask you now, who is your ideal, like, who would you put here? Is this going to be families, couples? Who's going to this
Well, I
property?
would say, yeah, couples. I mean, Alice only generally attracts more couples, so couples for sure. I think it would be great for a girls' getaway, and it's actually 16 plus. So it most adult only are 18 plus, so it does give that option if you have an older teenager and you still want something, without little kids running around. It's the perfect option for that too.
So, like, put them in a separate room, but you guys can, but you can,
Yeah, I mean, they
yeah.
have connecting rooms too, and lots of different options there.
Okay, nice. Okay, cool. So then, what about like accessibility? Is this flat? Are there stairs? Are there ramps? How does this work out for someone who is less mobile or maybe in a wheelchair?
Yeah, from my recollection, it's really accessible. Long long hallways, but there's elevators everywhere. So definitely ramps and hallways and pretty easy to get around. It's not a huge property. It's not really spread out. It's just sort of like an L-shaped building with all the rooms in that in mainly in one part of it, but some rooms in the other part. So it's really not too hard to get anywhere.
Okay. All right. Well, then, so then I know that there's golf on the property, as you've mentioned. I mean, is there, because some properties have like golf cart shuttling. Is there that sort of a taxi option or any sort of option like that?
On the property,
Yeah.
it's not really necessary, honestly.
Okay.
It's not too big. I mean, you do, I think this keeps changing also with this hotel, but they have a family property right next door that's the same brand. And at first you could have exchange privileges, then they took it away. Now I think it's back. And they can take you there on golf cart if you don't want to walk. So that is an option, but you don't need it. And there wouldn't be anywhere like the whole middle of that L is the long pool that you saw.
Yeah.
So there's really nowhere that you would need to go outside of that.
Yeah, because you're swimming or canoeing at that point. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
so what is the name of the family property that connects to it?
It's called Estudio Playa Mujeres.
Have you also gotten a chance to go to that property?
I have, yeah, and it's great. I mean, the rooms are identical, like completely the exact same. So that's nice that it's a great product. And they have a little splash pad area. It's the main difference is that it's set back further from the beach. So you can get a golf cart to take you to the beach because it would be maybe like a 5 or 7 minute walk. But they do, once you're at the beach, they do also have a great restaurant there and an oceanfront infinity. I think maybe not infinity, but it's an oceanfront pool for sure. So they have a pool sort of at the lobby room area and then also one by the beach.
I like it. We're getting like two resort reviews for one. This is good.
Yeah, for one
Now,
price.
key to my children's happiness and my happiness is, with that restaurant and that pool, is there a toilet?
Yes,
Because otherwise, we're going to use that golf cart facility like service
for
a
sure. For
lot.
sure there is. Yeah, yeah, it's great. It has everything you need.
Okay, good, good, wonderful. So then, and I want to talk about tipping on property. Some resorts say just don't do it at all, and if someone asks for it, it's not appropriate. But actually, every single one of the interviews I've done so far is that, yeah, absolutely tip, and dollars or pesos doesn't matter, do it. And I'm all for tipping. So, what's the policy at this property? What do you think you should do?
Yeah, they don't have a tipping policy. I don't know that anywhere in Mexico does, but I could be wrong about that. Tipping is not mandatory or necessary, but it's definitely recommended. The staff is so hardworking and they make very little money. I mean, if people knew what they made, they would give probably a lot more.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the service as well. I mean, I wouldn't say to just throw money. It depends, but a few dollars at breakfast, 5 or 10 at lunch, and 10 to 20 at dinner, and for drinks. Just I recommend a lot of ones. Bring a lot of ones for any resort, but especially this one. The service is so good, you'll want to tip them. I mean, you'll want to compensate them for their time and for their help.
That's a common theme with everyone, that's going on. Is everyone's like, I picked this property because it had excellent service. I also want to give a shout
Yeah.
out to a buddy of mine from high school that says, I love toilets. So thanks, Jeff.
One thing that I experienced at this hotel, which I've only really experienced at higher end luxury like EP hotels, not all inclusive. I had asked where the towels were, and instead of just pointing or telling me where they were, someone walked me there and showed me exactly where to find the towels. So I thought that was really, above and beyond service, which they didn't have to do, but really made a difference.
Nice. I like that. That's good. So now I want to talk about sales pitches on property because sometimes there's aggressive timeshare desks, and sometimes people really like a timeshare. They like to go back to the same place every time. That's a good value for them then. But I'd like to be able to say no thank you one time and have it be no thank you. You know what I'm saying? So
For sure.
what's this property like in that regard?
Well, to be honest, it's really hard to say as a travel agent. I have actually never, ever been approached at any resort I've stayed at. So I don't know like how they know not to come to me. But in this case, this property actually has different bracelets depending on like who you are and what sort of level you're at and things like that. So that might have something to do with the fact that I've never been approached, and especially there. But I think that I, there's some resorts that you hear that are worse than others, and I don't think that this is one of them. I mean, it's there for sure. Most of them do have it.
Yeah.
We in my group we tried to make a list of the resorts that don't have timeshare, and it was very, very small.
Yeah.
So they all have it, and obviously it's a moneymaker for them. But I don't think it's like too in your face.
Okay. I'm going to bring a question onto the screen. And this one is Jeff Antunes. Is 10% sufficient enough for a tip? I usually tip about 20%.
You know what? Anything helps. I wouldn't say there's an amount that's sufficient, but anything is super appreciated. So 20% would be like very super appreciated. It's not really too standard like to tip here in terms of, if you're Mexican, but if you're a foreigner and you're visiting a resort, especially, like I said, anything is super appreciated. So 20% would be amazing for sure.
Yeah. And I'm just willing to go there. I'm willing, yeah. Especially the disparate, like I don't know. It's hard for countries that are really dependent on tourism right now.
It's
And
so,
so,
yeah, it's so dependent.
yeah. So I will tip well. So now let's talk about, is there, because I know we're in COVID times, are they offering Butler service right now? Is that something they offer, and is it limited at the moment? What does that look like?
They don't offer like traditional butler service, but they have a higher category that includes some extra amenities and things like that. And you might get, I don't know if a butler per se is included, but you do get some different things with that, and that is still offered. It's actually just a separate room category, so
Okay.
it's something extra you can pay for when you're doing your room.
Like something like a concierge or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, great. Well, then, what about, have you and did you have a chance to visit the spa?
Unfortunately, I did not visit the spa. Next time for sure, because I will be back as soon
Yeah.
as possible. But no, I didn't. I didn't have a chance. I mean, besides getting my hair and makeup done for the wedding.
Yeah. When you walked in, did it smell fantastic? It was like aromatherapy and you were ready.
And the spa is beautiful and it's great. I think it's on 2 levels actually, so it's quite substantial. And the gym is, I mean, I haven't used it, but my husband said it's his favorite hotel gym ever. So it's a really, really good modern. I mean, the hotel's pretty new, so it's a really great gym.
That was my next question was the gym because a lot of people want to keep the routine and that's totally understandable. So
Yeah.
let's see. We have a question from Cindy August, and that is, are reservations required for the restaurants?
Um, no, I don't think reservations are required for the restaurants. No, there's one that that requires reservations. I think Maria Dolores is their like fancier restaurant, and it's not included in the all inclusive unless you have that higher category that I mentioned, the Inspira or Inspira. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's included there, I think, once during your stay. Otherwise, there is an additional cost for it, and I think it does require reservations. But otherwise, no.
Okay, well then let's move on to dining and talk about what options are available. Are they offering buffets at this time? What can you recall about the dining experience?
Yeah, I mean, their food is, like I said, really good, and vegetarian menus everywhere. I was there, so it's interesting about this hotel. The buffet situation has changed and is continuing to change, apparently, quite fluidly. So when I was there, the first time there was no buffet. Uh, the second time there was, though, and
Okay.
it was self-serve. Of course, you had to wear your mask when you went up there. And they were monitoring, the stations and to make sure everyone was sort of being okay. But I've heard from other agents that some other times it's been not self-serve, like they serve you, and then sometimes it's just like completely closed. So I think it depends
Interesting.
on maybe the occupancy or how things are going, or maybe the color of the state, that we're in Quintana Roo, like depending if we're on yellow or orange or what it is. I'm not sure how they decide that, honestly.
Interesting. We
Yeah.
have a question about the Sky Bar. Is the Sky Bar open to call guests after 6 p.m. or only Inspira guests all the time? I had some confusion about that from a client. Are you
So yeah, I'm 99% sure that it is open to all guests after 6 p.m., but I will have to verify that. I can't say for sure, but I think it is open to everybody at that time.
okay? We'll put it in the show notes when we get some clarification. That's fine. Great. All right. And then what about, what was your favorite meal on property? And this, this is going to be a vegetarian meal, so it'll appeal to some people, but maybe not other people. But that's all right. We'll try new things.
Well, you know what? It's funny because it's actually not. I'm a little bit of a flexitarian, I guess you can
Oh,
call it. Their Japanese restaurant is my favorite, and they have some amazing food there. And one of the things is like a ramen, and so I guess the broth is probably beef or something like that. And I just asked for it without the actual beef. I don't mind doing the broth. I just don't want to eat the actual beef. And the soup is so good, and it comes really hot, which is rare at resorts, I find, and it's really good. So that's my favorite meal there.
I do like things at the right temperature. I get it.
Yes.
I get it.
It's hard to get hot soup at these resorts. You know, they're cooking for so many people, and by the time it gets to you, it's just not piping hot anymore.
Yeah, and it's also you're you're in a very hot location. They probably are like, I don't know, maybe people don't want it that hot. I want it hot.
No, we do. It's cold in the restaurants. You know? Like it's freezing. Like I
That's
always
right.
bring sweaters because it's really cold in there.
So then let's talk about, are there outdoor dining options on property?
There are. I'm just thinking the restaurant at the beach. I'm just trying to think if it's open for dinner, and I'm not sure that it is. It's outdoors, of course. And
Hmm.
then the Italian restaurant for sure has an outdoor patio, which is nice. So you can eat indoors or outdoors. And there's one restaurant that I haven't been to, so I can't talk about that one. The Japanese is inside, and the fancier restaurant, Maria Dolores, is also inside. So there is for sure the Italian, if not some other ones as well.
Sure. So then, like when you walk in, do you have to be like masked and then you can unmask when you're eating, or once you're on property? I mean, are they pretty lax about it, or what's that like?
I I think they were. I mean, they were more lax. Yes, I think they're pretty lax about it. I can't remember if we put them on just to be seated, but for the most part, once you're on property, you can go without it if you want to.
And then, capacity at the moment is pretty low. What's that like?
Yeah, it's 60 is allowed. 60 is what's allowed, but most resorts are not at that. So I don't know what they are. I'm
Yeah,
sure it changes every day, but
sure.
um, but yeah, probably most resort. I would say most resorts are 40 or lower. It's
It's
rare to be
wild.
at on the higher end. I
I
mean, there's no
mean,
Canadians traveling,
I
right? So
know, I know,
it's yeah.
I know. I don't know if you know this podcast that we have, the Travel Lab, Nikita Brown, and she's with the Travel Agent
Yes,
Collective,
I know.
and they just canceled their trip because they
Yeah,
just couldn't. Yeah, the restrictions, it couldn't happen. Very sad for them.
it's
Um,
and all my clients, and I just read actually that they're estimating that Canadians, because the flights are canceled right until May, that it will equate to like $782 million lost to this destination, which is just mind blowing.
Staggering. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
staggering number. I
yeah.
mean, I get it. It's just, yeah. I mean, I haven't traveled. I have reservations, but it's, yeah, that's people's jobs.
Hmm.
Okay. Um,
Lives.
all right, let's get to talking about happier things. Let's talk about entertainment. What's that like on property?
Well, they have a lot of different activities during the day, and they have a board, like an electronic board outside that tells you the different activities that are going on every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember, there was something like food art or something like that they asked me to do, which I didn't, so I can't really talk about it too much. I'm kind of just like a beach bum, don't really get up to do much. But at night they do have a club there, so
Mm-hmm.
depending if people are feeling that, then it can be fun. And they have a show, and they also have like a Mexican cantina. Now, when I was there, it wasn't open because of COVID, because it was more like indoors. I don't know,
Sure.
it just wasn't open. So I'm not sure if that's open right now, but it looked really cool and seemed fun as well.
What about like water sport options?
Yeah, so the normal like non-motorized water sports are right there. And then, like I said before, it's a great location if you want to take the ferry to Isla Mujeres and do anything over there. And actually, when we were there in July, we swam with whale sharks because the jumping
Oh,
off point
wow.
is from Playa Mujeres right there. So the ferry was like 10 minutes from the hotel, or the not the ferry, but the boat that picked us up was just 10 minutes from the hotel. So pretty easy
Did
if
you
you want to do that.
organize that with the hotel or did you?
No,
Okay.
a separate, yeah, separate tour operator or
Okay.
company.
And then, as we mentioned, going through the pictures, there's golf on this property. And is that included or how does that get arranged?
So it's not included unless, again, you book that higher Inspira or Inspira
Right.
category. And then
Right.
I think you get and for 5 nights at least, by the way.
Okay.
And I think it might be 2 free rounds, something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but it's 1 or 2 free rounds if you book that category.
Okay, great.
Otherwise, it's the normal price, whatever, but it's available.
Okay, great. And I mean, golf is a great activity for this time. It's outside. It's
Yeah,
good.
open air, yeah.
And it's near
Distance.
the ocean, which I wonder what a challenge that is if the breeze picks it up, if it just goes. Because that's what it's
Yeah.
like in Scotland. It just takes that ball and like shoots it out of there. What about now? When we looked at the pools, we should have talked about swim up bars because that's been a consistent question that people have asked. They haven't asked it yet, but I'll beat them to it. Are there swim up bars?
Yes, there's at least one, but I think there's two.
Okay.
So at sort of either end of the pool, so you're covered.
Okay, good. And then I imagine that there's pool side and beach side, like wait service.
For
So,
sure. Yeah, definitely. Yep.
okay. So even if all the
And they have
spots are taken,
cabanas. Yeah. Well, they have, I mean, I didn't have a problem getting a spot at the pool or the beach, and they also have cabanas on the beach available as well. And I don't think there's an extra cost for that. So it's just first come, first serve.
okay.
So lots of seating options.
Do you have a technique for reserving your cabana?
No, because it's just so annoying when people get up super early and reserve it. So I try not to be one of those people.
See, I get up super early, so I'm like, whatever, I would be there anyway. I'll just have my
Right
breakfast and
there.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a gal who's, she's like, okay, you got to get like the biggest flower pin you can, and you pin that to your towel, and it's so obvious because no one else has that flower. Like, that's mine. All right, I got that tip now.
Well, the towel, the towel clips, like they have like cute little animals, like
Yeah,
dolphins and things like that. So those are cute as well that you can use, I guess,
I forgot
for
about
that.
those. Yeah, those are
Yeah, those
good.
are super handy. Especially it's been windy. Well, it was at least a few weeks ago, like really windy. So the towels fly away anyway. So those are really good to have.
Man, I wonder how many end up in the ocean. Towel clips are good. Okay. So now, I think that I've come to the end of my formal questions. Is there anything that I missed that you would like to mention?
I
And a
don't think
last
so.
call from the peanut gallery if anybody else has questions or heckles. I've been getting heckled lately. I kind of love it.
I mean, I don't think so. It's just like I said, to me, it has everything like that you would want in a resort. I mean, anyone who likes any kind of resort can find happiness there. I think it's not like a crazy party resort, but it has a little bit of action if you want that. It has the good food, the good beach, the beautiful rooms. It has a great coffee shop also with gelato, so that's
Oh,
always
yeah.
fun. And then on the family side, they have a coffee shop that has popcorn, which I love. So that's also always good
Perfect.
to know.
Let me ask you for like forward thinking, because I think there's going to be a lot of multi generational travel coming up when families can get together again. And so, do you know about rooms with multiple bedrooms or communal sitting areas? Are you familiar with any of that?
Well, I mean, it's adults only, well, 16 plus, so it doesn't really lend itself to like bigger suites, like a 1, 2 bedroom suite, like you would have at a family resort, let's say. They do have connecting rooms, so that is an option. It's not guaranteed, but they do have that. And then the master suites, the one that we saw the picture of, the last picture with that pool overlooking
Yeah,
the
I can
ocean.
get there.
Yeah, I mean that suite is, yes, that the inside of that suite is so big that it's almost too big. I mean it's massive, so it's great to have a little get together with family, like if everyone has their own rooms and someone has that room, the grandparents or whatever. There's plenty of room to hang out and socialize and go up to the roof. The roof is pretty big too, actually. And then at the family property,
The
they do
roof
have,
in the suite.
yes, exactly.
That's
That pool is on the roof. Like you walk up some stairs. So yeah.
how are the
um,
sunsets?
Actually, no, sorry. That room, no, it's on. I think it's on one level. They do also have a rooftop suite. I think that's what I'm thinking about, where there's a spiral staircase in the middle of the room, and they have a pool also on the roof. It's smaller than that pool, but that is also another room category there.
I like
Um,
creative rooms like this.
yeah. So
Yeah.
there's yeah. So the master suite though is massive inside and outside, so great for hosting people. And then their sister property, a studio, they do also have more. They also have connecting rooms. The rooms have sofa beds as well, and I think they have an option for like a larger suite with. They might even have a kids room with bunk beds or something like that. So
Perfect. Bunk beds are fun.
yeah, Yeah.
So now, what about, well, let me just ask you one question. Room service, is this available at this property?
Yes, 24 hours. Yeah.
Perfect. Now, what about, let's talk about exiting the property. As far as testing goes, we know that there are requirements now. Can you test on site? What do you know about that?
Yeah, so I'm not sure the latest. It was, I think, 6 out of 7 days of the week. I think if you need to get tested on the other day, like they can make it happen. And it's 2 free antigen tests per room. And, if positive, you do get the 2 free weeks of accommodation.
That's wild. I mean, these resorts are blowing me away with their policies. I
It's just
mean,
crazy.
not that
So
you
general.
hope to get sick, but if you have to be sick, like a place like this is the place to do it, right?
Sure, yeah.
And then, are you familiar? I've been telling everyone this because I'm surprised how many people don't know about it. And this is mostly going to apply to US clients of yours, but are you familiar with the Pixel test by
I've heard of
LabCorp?
it. I've
I,
heard of it, but I'm not super
you
familiar.
might have heard me say it because I say it all the time. But the Pixel test is by LabCorp. It's Pixel, like, you have a pixel missing from your phone screen and it's really annoying. Pixel, like that. So,
Mhm.
but it's LabCorp is the website. That's the company that puts it out. If your insurance pays for it, your insurance pays for it. If it doesn't, they have a grant for which they'll cover it for free. So it's free testing and it's in your home and you do a self swab. So there's no brain scraping, it's self swab. And you mail so it comes to you in the mail, I think within 24 hours. And when you can mail it out the same day, you get results in 24 hours, but I think a maximum of 72 hours. And it's anonymous, like they send you a code. And so it's free and you can go there. Like you could test before you go, so you know that you're
Mm,
negative going into the
yeah,
property.
important.
And then, because people have jobs and lives and kids to get back to,
Sure.
you increase the chances of not testing positive on site.
Yes.
So if you do that
Super
72 hours
helpful.
before you go, you can get back to your life after your vacation is done. You've had this wonderful, relaxing time. So I'm just throwing it out there for people because, yeah, it's a good
Yeah,
resource.
and Mexico doesn't require testing, but I think a lot of agents are recommending that their clients get tested. So that's a good option for that because, yeah, you'd rather it's better to know ahead of time than find out, when you're here.
Yeah.
Because even though you do get the free stay, it's not as glamorous as it seems. I mean, you cannot leave your room, and I don't think that most hotels give you the regular room service menu. I mean, it's like 3 meals a day. They don't want to come in your room more than they have to, so it's
Oh, yeah.
pretty strict.
Yeah. It's not a great situation.
No, not so much.
All right. I'm looking forward to my own vaccine someday. Someday. Well, I thank you so much for being on the program. I
Thank
don't
you
have
for
any more
having me.
questions. It was great information, and I hope that at some point we can do it again. And, I'd love to hear back from you from, wonderful Mexico where you now relocated.
Yes,
And
I'm here.
you are there. All right. Well, then I just thank you. Anyone else with questions? No, we've covered all the questions. Thank you, everyone, for asking. And yeah, unless there's anything else.
No,
I,
thank you so much for having me.
yeah, it's a pleasure. All right. This is Megan Chapa of the Travel Radio Podcast saying thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And there are playlists for all of the all inclusive resort review winners available in the show notes, or if you look at the link in the bio, you'll be able to find all of them. Oh, Cindy August, thank you. Okay, say thank you. Love polite guests and commentators. All right, everybody, good night. I'm going to finish this out.